The Galactic Council had kept peace in space for hundreds of years. Over 300 different alien kinds met at the big space station called Nexus. They talked about trade, land, and science. Humans were new here. They joined only 27 years ago. Commander Alan Wright felt out of place sitting with the human group. He watched Ambassador Patricia Miller talk about Earth's new planet-changing technology. The aliens looked bored or seemed to look down on her words. Alan studied the room. The huge meeting hall sparkled with light from the nearby star. Alien representatives of all shapes sat in curved rows. Some had scales, others had tentacles. Some looked almost like humans, while others were just clouds of gas in special tanks. The air smelled strange, a mix of different atmospheres that the station systems tried to make comfortable for everyone. The Vornax ambassador, who looked like a huge insect with a shiny outer shell, cut Patricia off mid-sentence. "These farming changes are simple," he said with a clicking sound. "We have bigger problems. The strange energy in the Cygnus arm needs our attention now." Everyone got quiet. For many months, Space Tools had been finding a weird energy pattern, growing from deep space. Every probe sent to look at it stopped working when it got close. "The strange energy keeps getting bigger," said the Medusan, her head tentacles moving slowly. 3 more star systems went dark this month. The Council's main scientist showed a picture of how fast the energy was growing. Alan felt sick as he watched. At this rate, it would reach places where people lived in just a few months. "We should send ships to look at it up close," Patricia said, standing up straight. Even though many aliens were twice her size, she didn't seem scared. The room filled with unhappy talk. The bug-like Vornax made a sound like laughter. "This is why humans are still children. You always want to fight when you should wait and watch." "The right way," said the very old Tholian elder whose skin looked like crystal, "is to watch from far away. My people have lived for millions of years because we are careful." Alan noticed how the older alien species seemed to share knowing looks. The Tholian was said to be over 4,000 years old. To them, humans were like small children, making noise at an adult dinner party. Patricia tried to explain that waiting might get people killed, but the aliens wouldn't listen. They decided to set up a watching line far from the energy and study it from a safe distance. Commander Allen followed Patricia through the station's long hallways after the meeting. The curved walls were made of a strange metal that seemed to change color as they walked. Other alien representatives passed them, some floating, others walking on many legs. "Did you see how they dismissed us?" Patricia said. Her voice was calm, but Alan could tell she was angry. "The Vornax practically laughed in my face." When they reached their rooms, Alan found Patricia looking out the big window at the stars. "They think we're scared," she said quietly. "Or that we're fools who rush into danger." "Maybe we're both," Alan said. He stood beside her watching the stars. One of the station's 3 rings turned slowly past their view. But being afraid and acting anyway might be exactly what's needed now. His mind went back to Earth history. How many times had people been afraid but still did what needed to be done? The first space travelers, riding on what were basically controlled explosions. The Mars settlers who faced deadly dust storms. The deep-sea explorers who went where crushing pressure could kill in seconds. Patricia looked at him, her eyes hard with decision. "Every day we wait, that thing gets bigger." She tapped her wrist screen, bringing up the growth charts. "Look, it's eating stars, Alan. Whole systems just gone." The screen showed before and after pictures. Where stars once shined, now there was nothing. "Talk to Captain Gregg," she said. "Tell him I need our fastest ship ready." "The Council won't." "Like this," Alan warned. "We could lose our place here." Patricia smiled without humor. "If that thing keeps growing, there won't be a council left to kick us out." She turned to face him fully, her face now lit by the glow of distant stars. "Get me a secure line to Earth Command. The aliens can sit and watch if they want. We humans are going to act." Alan nodded. He understood what was coming. Earth was going to do what humans always did when faced with the unknown, meet it head-on. The older species might call it cowardice to protect their own. Humans called it courage. He sent the message to Earth Command. Ambassador requests emergency protocol. The darkness is coming. Humanity stands alone. General Olivia Summers walked back and forth in Earth Command's big meeting room. Her boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. The walls were lined with screens showing stars, planets, and moving dots representing ships. Through the room's only window, she could see the blue curve of Earth below. Around the large table sat 12 people, the top military leaders and government officials. Their faces looked worried in the blue light from the table's built-in screens. A life-sized image of Ambassador Patricia Miller stood at one end of the table. The hologram flickered slightly. "Let me get this straight," said Howard Bennett, the defense secretary. His gray hair was messy, like he hadn't slept. "The aliens just want to watch this thing from far away?" "Yes," Patricia's hologram said. "They called our idea to go look at it rash and primitive." General Summers stopped walking. She pointed to a map of stars on the wall. "This dark energy will reach Epsilon Indi in 3 months. We have 7 million people living there." Commander Alan Wright's hologram appeared next to Patricia's. "The problem is how these aliens think. Some of them live for thousands of years. They think losing a few star systems is worth it to collect more information." Secretary Bennett rubbed his eyes. "What do we actually know about this thing?" Dr. Kate Daniels stood up. She was a small woman with quick movements. She touched the table and new images appeared above it. Charts, graphs, and pictures of stars disappearing. "It's nothing like we've ever seen," she said. She moved, her hands to make the images bigger. "It eats energy, matter, even light itself. Every probe we send stops working as soon as it gets close. Even the aliens, with their million-year-old records, have never seen anything like it." The room was quiet as everyone looked at the images. The thing was growing, spreading like a dark stain across the star map. "What about the Prometheus Protocol?" asked Admiral John Carter. His voice was deep and his face looked like old leather from years in space. Everyone went silent. The Prometheus Protocol was Earth's secret project. It broke the Galactic Council's rules. Earth had modified its best ships with technology the Council didn't allow younger species to have. "If we use the Prometheus Protocol without permission," said Ambassador Lisa Hayes from another hologram, "we could lose our place in the galactic community." General Summers put both hands on the table and leaned forward. The screens lit her, face from below making her look fierce. "If we do nothing, we lose millions of our people. The aliens think we're cowards because we won't sacrifice our colonies for their data collection." "It's not just that," Patricia said. Her hologram crossed its arms. "They think we're like impatient children. They believe we lack the wisdom that comes with living for thousands of years." Secretary Bennett stood up suddenly. "I've heard enough." He picked up his tablet. "I'll tell the president what's happening, but I already know what we need to do." He looked at General Summers. "Start getting ready for Operation Lighthouse. If this thing is darkness, we'll bring the light." The meeting ended, and people began to leave. Dr. Daniels stayed behind with General Summers. "Olivia," she said quietly, making sure no one could hear. "There's something else about this dark energy I didn't want to say in front of everyone." She lowered her voice even more. "The energy has patterns in it. It's not random." "You mean someone made it? It's a weapon?" General Summers asked. "I'm saying it might be alive," Dr. Daniels said. Her eyes were wide. "Or maybe something alive is controlling it." General Summers nodded slowly. "Then we have even more reason to face it directly." After everyone left, Olivia stayed alone in the room. She brought up a picture of Epsilon Indi on the main screen. Beautiful blue-green planets, where millions of humans lived. Families, children, whole cities who had no idea what was coming toward them. The aliens might be willing to sacrifice them for knowledge, but she wasn't. The Galactic Council saw humans as too young, too emotional, too quick to act. But right now, those flaws might be exactly what was needed. She opened a secure channel to the hidden shipyard orbiting Neptune. "This is General Summers," she said. Authorization code Echo Tango 749. Begin final preparations for Operation Lighthouse. I want all 5 ships ready to launch in 72 hours. Yes, General, came the reply. The crews are standing by. Olivia touched the star map one more time. The darkness was spreading, eating stars as it grew. But soon, humanity would send its best into that darkness. The Galactic Council might call it cowardice to protect your own people. Humans called it responsibility. Let's see who's right, she whispered to herself. 5 big ships hung in space near Mars, far from the watching eyes of Nexus Station. They were Earth's best ships. The EDS Courage, EDS Defiance, EDS Liberty, EDS Resolution, and the biggest one, EDS Horizon. Their dark hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight. Captain Frank Nelson stood on the bridge of the Horizon. At 43, he had short brown hair with some gray at the sides. His blue uniform was crisp and neat. Through the big front window, he could see the other ships getting ready to leave. Frank had been in space for 20 years, but he still felt excited every time he set out on a new mission. This time was different, though. This time, they might not come back. All ships say they're ready, Captain, said Lieutenant Grace Morgan from her control station. She was young, with dark skin and quick hands that moved over the glowing panels. The Prometheus systems are working and stable, added Chief Engineer Paul Davis. He was older, with a thick beard and strong arms. The Prometheus technology was special. It would let their ships get closer to the dark energy than normal ships could. At least that's what they hoped. The bridge doors opened with a soft hiss. Dr. Nancy Rivera walked in, holding a data pad. She was the lead scientist for the mission, with sharp eyes and hair pulled back in a tight bun. Captain, I've checked the newest data from our probes, she said. The dark energy is growing 17% faster now. Frank nodded. His face was serious. Then we're out of time for second thoughts. He looked at Lieutenant Morgan. Tell the fleet we leave in 30 minutes. As the crew did final checks, Frank went to his private room next to the bridge. On his desk was a small picture that showed light images of his family, his husband, and their little daughter. Next to it was a screen showing a call coming in from Earth Command. When he answered, General Summers appeared on the screen. Captain Nelson, this is your final briefing. The President has given full emergency powers for Operation Lighthouse. We told the Galactic Council that Earth ships are doing emergency evacuations in the systems that might be in danger. How did they react to that? Frank asked. Just like we expected. The bug-like Vornax ambassador called it typical human overreaction. The others showed different kinds of disapproval or pity. And if we succeed? General Summers allowed herself a small smile. Then they'll call it typical human luck. Good hunting, Captain. Bring our people home. The journey to the edge of the dark energy took 11 days at top speed. When they got close, the fleet slowed down to find a Galactic Council watching post at the edge of the danger zone. We're getting a message, Lieutenant Morgan said. It's a Tholian enforcement ship. The screen turned on to show a being that looked like it was made of crystal. Human ships, you are entering a restricted area by order of the Galactic Council. Stay back. This is Captain Frank Nelson of the Earth Defense Ship Horizon. We're evacuating human colonies that might be in the path of the dark energy. Your evacuation concerns are too early by Council standards, the Tholian said coldly. Stay outside the set boundary or face punishment. Frank turned to his first officer, Commander Diane Wu. She was a tall woman with steady hands and a calm voice. Thoughts? She straightened her uniform. The Council can't legally stop us from protecting our own citizens, sir. I agree. Lieutenant Morgan, tell the Tholian that we appreciate their concern, but we will continue with our mission. As the Earth fleet moved forward, the Tholian ship kept sending warnings but didn't try to stop them physically. They're telling the Council about us, Lieutenant Morgan said, but they're not following us. Dr. Rivera looked up from her sensors. Captain, we're getting close to the edge of the dark energy. Sensors are finding something strange. On the main screen, the stars ahead seemed to bend and twist, like looking through moving water. Beyond that distortion was complete darkness. A void where stars should be visible. All ships, turn on. Prometheus shields, Frank ordered. His heart beat faster, but his voice stayed calm. Dr. Rivera, what are we seeing? It's talking, Captain. Talking. To who? To itself, she said, her voice filled with wonder and fear. The pattern repeats, across the whole edge. It's a single organism or machine spread across light years of space. As the Earth fleet crossed into the darkness, the Prometheus shields flickered with blue light but held strong. The darkness surrounded them, but they could still see each other's ships. All vessels report they're working fine, Commander Wu said. Whatever ate the probes isn't affecting us the same way. Because we came prepared, Frank said quietly. Unlike the Council, we didn't assume we knew everything already. Frank looked out at the strange darkness around them. No stars, no light, just the glow from their own ships. He thought about how humans had always pushed into unknown places, deep oceans, tall mountains, the empty space between planets. Now they were pushing into something even stranger. Deep inside the dark energy, the fleet's sensors began to detect something huge at its center, a structure or thing of enormous size. Captain, Dr. Rivera called out, her voice tense. I'm detecting energy building up ahead. Whatever's at the center, it knows we're here. Frank stood up from his chair. This was the moment that would decide everything. The Council aliens had been too afraid to come here. Humans had been called reckless, impulsive, too young to understand danger, but sometimes the greatest danger was in doing nothing. All ships, maintain formation, he ordered. Let's go say hello. The darkness moved around the 5 human ships like black water. Up ahead they saw something huge. A web of dark energy stretched across space like a giant spider's web. In the middle was a ball of light that bent space around it. Stop all engines, Captain Nelson ordered. The ship slowed to a stop, floating in the strange darkness. Dr. Rivera, what are we looking at? The scientist's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. Lights from the screen lit up her focused face. It looks like someone built it. It's not natural. The technology is beyond anything in the Galactic Council's records. Is it a weapon? Commander Wu asked. She stood with her hands behind her back, watching the strange web on the main screen. I don't think so, Dr. Rivera replied. She zoomed in on parts of the web structure. The energy patterns suggest it's more like a door or a bridge to somewhere else. Lieutenant Morgan looked up from her communication station. Her eyes were wide. Captain, I'm picking up a signal. It's trying to connect with our computers. Block it, Frank said quickly. Wait, Dr. Rivera raised her hand. It's not attacking us. The pattern matches basic communication codes. It's saying hello. Frank thought for a moment, then made his decision. Route it through the separate communication system. Let's hear what it has to say. The bridge speakers made static noises before a voice came through. It sounded both like a machine and a living thing at the same time. You came. Others. Observe only. You act. Difference. The bridge crew looked at each other with surprise. This is Captain Frank Nelson of the Earth Defense Fleet. Who are you and what are you doing here? A pause, then. We are Nexus. Purpose. Survival. Your species. Young. Brave. Foolish. Unclear. Dr. Rivera moved closer to the captain. It's learning our language as we talk. This is amazing. Why have you eaten star systems? Frank asked. Directly, not eaten. Changed. Necessary for journey. Journey from where? To where? Another pause, longer this time. Fleeing. Harvesters. Ancient enemy. All life. In danger. The main screen changed to show pictures or maybe memories of another galaxy being destroyed by huge machine-like things that ate entire stars for energy. The harvesters destroyed our home galaxy. We are refugees, last of our kind, creating bridge to escape. Dr. Rivera's eyes got big as she understood. Captain, I think the dark energy isn't a weapon. It's a door between universes. They're trying to escape from their universe to ours. and eating our systems in the process, Commander Wu added with a frown. Not intentional. Regrettable. No communication. Possible until now. Your technology. Different. Compatible. Frank walked around the bridge, thinking about this information. If we help you finish your door, will you be able to control it? Stop it from eating inhabited systems? With assistance. Yes. Possible. And these harvesters, will they follow you through? Unknown. Probability exists. Frank turned to his crew. What do you think we should do? Dr. Rivera spoke first. Captain, this is first contact with a species far more advanced than anything the Galactic Council has ever met. They need help, and they might have technology that could help humanity enormously. They've also destroyed several systems already, Commander Wu pointed out. Without meaning to, Dr. Rivera argued. They didn't know how to talk to us until now. Frank looked back at the strange web on the screen. The alien refugees had run from one universe to another to escape something that wanted to kill them. Humans understood running from danger. Earth's history was full of people who crossed oceans and mountains to find safety. He made his decision. Lieutenant Morgan, contact Earth Command. We need permission for what I'm about to suggest. He turned back to address the Nexus being. We may be able to help you, but we'll need to understand your technology better, and we'll need promises that our systems will be safe. Understanding. Mutual goal. Survival. Mutual goal. Living together. Possible. As Frank waited for Earth's answer, he thought about the irony. The cowardly humans rushing in where the ancient species feared to go had made contact with something that might change the galaxy forever. He looked around at his crew. Human faces lit by the glow of control panels, working together in the darkness of space. Young faces, by galactic standards, but faces full of courage and curiosity. The Galactic Council was millions of years old. They had seen so much, done so much, learned so much. But they had forgotten something important. Sometimes you need to act, not just watch and wait. Dr. Rivera, Frank said, start working with the Nexus entity. See if you can find a way to stabilize their gateway without it consuming more star systems. Yes, Captain, she said, excitement in her voice. Commander Wu, keep our defenses at full alert. Just because they're talking to us doesn't mean they're safe. Understood, sir. Frank turned back to the main screen, where the strange web of energy continued to pulse and shift. Somewhere behind them was the Galactic Council, probably already angry about humans breaking their rules again. Somewhere ahead was a new relationship with a being from another universe. Lieutenant Morgan, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them, first contact established with Nexus entity. They are refugees, seeking asylum. Request permission to offer humanitarian assistance. Morgan smiled as she sent the message. Using the word humanitarian for aliens, sir? Frank smiled back. Maybe the word should be human because we're the ones willing to help strangers in trouble. Outside the ship, the dark energy shifted as if responding to their words. The web pulsed with new colors, blues and greens mixing with the darkness. The bridge crew watched in silence. They were making history. Not just human history, but galactic history. All because they had been willing to do what the older species would not, to face the unknown, not with fear, but with hope. 3 months later, the Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with excitement. All the member species had gathered for what many called the most important meeting in Council history. Ambassador Patricia Miller stood at the center podium. Captain Frank Nelson and Dr. Nancy Rivera stood beside her. Behind them floated a moving pattern of light and dark that represented the Nexus being. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council, Patricia began, her voice strong and sure. 3 months ago, humans chose to act when others advised watching and waiting. Today, we show you the results of that decision, not to brag, but to show why different ways of thinking help us all. The Vornax ambassador shifted uncomfortably. Many council members had strongly criticized Earth's reckless action when they first heard about Operation Lighthouse. Now they listened in unusual silence. The being called Nexus represents the last survivors of a civilization from another universe, Patricia continued. They had technology far beyond our own before they were almost wiped out by a force they call the Harvesters. Dr. Rivera stepped forward. With human help, the Nexus being has successfully fixed their gateway between universes. The technology they've shared has allowed us to redirect the gateway's energy needs away from inhabited star systems. No more systems will be affected. Captain Nelson added, the Nexus refugees have also given us technological knowledge that would have taken the Council hundreds of years to develop on their own. The room filled with whispers. The Medusan representative raised a tentacle. And what proof do we have that these refugees won't harm our galaxy, or that these harvesters won't follow them through? Patricia nodded to the Nexus being, who responded in a voice that now sounded much more natural. We seek only peaceful life together. Our journey has taken millions of your years. We watched your galaxy from far away before trying to cross over. As for the harvesters, we have closed the passage behind us. They cannot follow without technology we have. Which brings us to our proposal, Patricia said. The Nexus refugees ask for a single star system at the edge of inhabited space, a system with no planets good for normal life forms. In return, they will share their technology slowly, giving all species time to adapt. The Tholian elders' crystal body sparkled as they spoke. And why should these beings share with the entire council when humans alone help them? The holographic Nexus rippled slightly. Because we have seen that being alone leads to standing still. Different ways of thinking, of biology, of approach, create strength. Humans showed this truth. They acted when others would not. Some would call that foolishness rather than courage, the Vornax ambassador said. Patricia smiled politely. What looks foolish from one view may be wisdom from another. The Nexus beings value our young perspective, exactly because it is different from old patterns. General Olivia Summers stood up from the Earth delegation. Distinguished representatives, humanity has been called many things since joining this council. Impulsive, reckless, cowardly when we refuse to sacrifice lives needlessly. Today we don't ask you to change those opinions. We simply ask that you see the value in different ways of solving problems. The council fell silent again as the ancient species thought about her words. Finally, the Medusan representative spoke. Perhaps there is wisdom in saying that age does not always equal rightness. The humans acted according to their nature, and this time, the galaxy has gained because of it. Over the next few days, the council debated and finally approved the settlement of the Nexus refugees. Earth would be their main connection to the galactic community. As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, Alan Wright found Patricia looking at the stars again. Quite a change, he said, from being the council's problem child to its celebrated hero. Patricia shook her head. We're neither heroes nor children, Alan. We're just human. We act when we see no other choice. She looked out at the countless stars. Somewhere out there, the Nexus beings were starting to build their new home. On Earth, scientists worked to understand the gifts of technology they'd received. And throughout the galaxy, the story spread, of how the youngest species had done what the oldest would not, of how those called cowards had shown the greatest courage of all. The humans had proved everyone wrong, and the galaxy would never be the same.